Ever feel like you're running on empty, but life just keeps pressing the gas pedal? I've been there, waking up bone-tired, dragging myself out of bed, staring at a to-do list that never quits. It's like being stuck on a hamster wheel no matter how hard you run. You're not getting anywhere. You don't have the energy to grab a beer with friends, play with your kids, or even take a minute to breathe. And the worst part, you start blaming yourself. You think you're just slacking off, not tough enough, not trying hard enough. But here's the truth. No one tells you this isn't about grit or willpower. This is burnout, and it's sneaky. It creeps up on you until you feel like you're drowning in plain sight. I've hit that wall myself, hard. But the good news is, climbing out doesn't require a total life overhaul. There are small, practical steps that can help you get your head above water again. In this video, I'm going to share the 5 things that helped me pull myself out of that hole and get my life back on track. So if this feels like your story too, stick around. And if you want more honest conversations and practical tips to get your energy and your life back, join us at The Truth MD. We're in this together. You know how they say it's never one big thing that takes you down, but 1,000 little cuts. That was me. The signs were there for months. I just kept brushing them off. It started with the small stuff. Like, I'd be reading an email at work, and halfway through, I'd realize I had no clue what I'd just read. I'd have to reread it 3, 4 times, and still, my brain wouldn't click. Then I'd lose my temper over the dumbest things. My son asking for help with his homework would feel like someone just dropped a ton of bricks on my back. And you know what's crazy? I didn't stop. I kept telling myself, it's just a rough patch. Michael, power through, be a man. But here's where things took a turn I didn't see coming. I ended up getting into a situation. I met someone during a business trip. At first, it was just drinks, venting about work, harmless. But harmless turned into flirty texts, and flirty texts turned into a full-blown affair. I'm not proud of it. Honestly, I hated myself for it. But looking back, I see why it happened. I was desperate for an escape, for someone to see me, listen to me, even if it was for the wrong reasons. But here's the kicker. Karma has a way of slapping you in the face. One morning, I was driving to a sales meeting, stomach in knots from guilt, my chest feeling like someone was sitting on it. And then, bam, everything went white. My hands went numb. The steering wheel slipped out of my grip. I blacked out. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in a hospital bed, IV in my arm, and my wife sitting next to me with tears in her eyes. The doctor walks in and says, "Michael, you had a severe anxiety-induced collapse. In plain English, your body pulled the emergency brake. You're dealing with severe burnout syndrome and clinical anxiety disorder." That hit me like a freight train. I thought I was just tired, maybe a little stressed. But no, my body had been waving red flags for months, and I was too damn stubborn to see them. That hospital stay, it wasn't just a pit stop. It was a full-blown intervention. Lying in that bed, hooked up to monitors, I had nowhere to run, no work to bury myself in, no distractions, just me and my messed up thoughts. A few hours in, a doctor pulls up a chair, not some cold, clinical chat. This was real talk. She looks at me and says, "Michael, you're not broken. You're drained. You've been running on empty for so long. You forgot what full even feels like." Then she said something that stuck with me. "Have you ever tried driving a car on fumes? Michael, you might coast for a bit, but eventually it'll sputter, stall, and leave you stranded. That's you. You've been coasting on fumes for years. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, because damn, she was right. She told me, burnout isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign you've been strong for too long without refueling. And anxiety, that's your brain's smoke alarm going off, telling you something's gotta change. She gave it to me straight, no sugarcoating. Michael, if you don't start prioritizing your well-being, you won't be around to take care of your family, let alone yourself. This isn't about pushing harder. It's about stepping back and learning to breathe. That conversation was a gut punch, but in a good way. For the first time, someone wasn't telling me to toughen up or grind harder. They were telling me to pause, to breathe. That night, I made myself a promise. No more pretending. No more, I'll deal with it later. I was going to start a small rediscovery of what it means to feel alive, one breath at a time. Coming out of that hospital, I knew something had to change, but honestly, I had no clue where to start. I mean, how do you fix burnout? You can't just flip a switch and feel better. But one piece of advice stuck with me. The doctor said, Michael, before you can untangle your life, you've got to learn to breathe again. And at first, I thought she meant like deep breathing exercises or yoga stuff. But then I stumbled across this thing called candle gazing meditation. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Staring at a candle. Come on, man. I thought it was some woo-woo nonsense too. But let me tell you something. That little flame taught me how to shut up my brain. Here's how it went down. Every morning, before the emails started pinging and the kids came running in, I'd light a candle. No phone. No news. Just me, sitting there like an idiot at first, staring at this tiny flickering light. The first couple of times, it was awkward as hell. My mind was bouncing all over the place. Client calls, bills, what I screwed up yesterday. My eyes would water. I'd blink like crazy, and part of me kept thinking, this is so dumb. But then something weird happened around day 4. For just a few minutes, the noise in my head hit the mute button. All that mental chatter didn't disappear, but it got quieter. It's like my brain finally sat down and went, all right, fine, we'll chill for a minute. There's science behind this too. That flickering flame, it's not just pretty to look at. It's actually working with your nervous system. It slows down your brainwaves, pulls you out of fight or flight mode, and kicks in your body's natural rest and digest response. Think of it like this. You've been driving 90 miles an hour in your head for so long. You forgot what neutral feels like. The candle, that's your parking brake. And the cool part, you don't need an hour for this. I started with just 3 minutes a day. Over time, I could go for 10 to 15 minutes without my brain hijacking me. And no, it's not about forcing yourself to be zen. It's about giving your mind one simple job. Hey buddy, just watch that flame. Real life benefits. Oh yeah, after a week or so, I noticed I wasn't snapping at my kids over spilled juice. Work emails didn't send me into a tailspin. I could actually focus during meetings instead of zoning out and pretending. Even my sleep got better because I wasn't carrying the day's chaos into bed with me. Plus, let's be real, our eyes are cooked from staring at screens all day. That soft, warm candlelight. It's like a spa day for your eyeballs. Way better than reaching for a third cup of coffee that just makes you jittery. But the biggest win, emotionally, it grounded me. The problems in my life didn't magically disappear, but I wasn't a slave to them anymore. It's like the volume got turned down on my anxiety. I could feel the stress, but it wasn't driving the bus. Small habits, huge payoff. After just 10 minutes of this in the morning, I'd feel clearer. Not like a monk on a mountaintop, just steadier. Like I hit a mental reset button before the madness of the day even started. And here's what I want to tell you. If you're feeling like life's got you by the throat, like you're drowning in plain sight, Don't underestimate the power of small things. Start with a candle. Give your mind a break. You'll be surprised how much control you can take back from just sitting still for a few minutes. All right, here's my challenge to you. Try the candle focus for just 5 minutes a day. For 1 week, no phone, no emails, just you and that flame. Then, come back to this video and drop a comment. Tell me if you felt even a small shift. And hey, if you're battling anxiety and burnout like I was, type yes in the comments so I know I'm not alone. If not, type no either way. Let's be real with each other. We're building a community here where nobody has to fight this alone. So light that candle, give it a week, and when you're ready, come back here and let's talk about it. You know, after practicing that candle focus exercise for a couple of weeks, something started to happen. The noise in my head wasn't as loud, but there was still one problem. Even when my mind calmed down for a moment, my calendar didn't. Every day felt like a fire drill. Not because life had to be that way, but because I kept saying yes to everything and no to myself. I had this belief drilled into me that being the reliable guy meant always being available. Late night emails, I was there. Weekend Zoom calls, didn't miss a single one. Even if my daughter had a soccer game, even if my son wanted me to build Lego spaceships with him. I'll never forget that day. My daughter scored her first ever goal. The crowd went wild. And me, I was stuck on a pointless Zoom call, nodding at nonsense while watching her celebrate through the reflection on my laptop screen. That moment shattered me. And the harsh reality, nobody forced me to be there. It was me. I was the one piling that pressure on my own shoulders. Out of fear that if I wasn't on 247, I'd lose clients, lose respect, lose myself. But here's what I learned the hard way. Not everything urgent is important. The day I pulled the brake, that evening, sitting on my couch, my phone kept buzzing. Emails, notifications, and for the first time, I didn't reach for it. I just sat there, looked at my family, and said out loud, "No, not tonight." That was day one. But I knew willpower wouldn't be enough. I needed a habit to anchor that boundary. So I set a 9 p.m. alarm every night. When it rang, it was my cue. Work's done. Life begins. At first, it felt uncomfortable, like I was slacking off. But after 2 weeks, the anxiety started to ease. I wasn't flinching every time my phone buzzed after dinner. I wasn't half present with my family. I was there, fully. And here's what's wild. After a month of this, my work didn't suffer. In fact, my focus sharpened. Because when I worked, I was fully there. No more busy for the sake of being busy. The real win. I stopped being an extra in my own life. Now, when my daughter scores, I'm not seeing it through a laptop reflection. I'm on the sidelines, cheering with her. When my son builds something, I'm not nodding with my phone in hand. I'm down there, building it with him. Learning to say no didn't close doors for me. It opened the ones that actually mattered. Your turn draws your line. If you've been stuck in the same loop I was, chasing after every urgent thing and missing out on the important ones, here's my challenge to you. Start with one small no each day. Set a time when you're off the clock, even if it's just an hour. Respect that time like your life depends on it. Because honestly, it kinda does. Give it a week. Then come back to this video. Scroll down and tell me what changed for you. Did the world fall apart? Or did you get back a piece of your life? And hey, if you're dealing with anxiety and burnout like I was, drop a yes in the comments so we know we're in this together. If you're not sure yet, or still figuring it out, type no. Either way, this is a space where nobody's pretending to have it all figured out. We're figuring it out together. After I learned to say no to the late-night emails and pointless meetings, I thought I had finally outsmarted burnout. But here's the part no one tells you. Setting boundaries isn't the same as refueling. Even when I carved out me time, I'd find myself just sitting there, scrolling my phone, waiting to feel better, waiting for energy to magically come back. But it didn't, because rest doesn't just mean doing nothing. Sometimes, doing nothing is just another version of burnout in disguise. That's when a friend, a former athlete, gave me the wake-up call I didn't know I needed. He said, "Michael, you've been treating rest like a timeout, but you need to treat it like an active recovery." At first, I thought, what the hell is active recovery? I'm exhausted. I need less to do, not more. But he explained it perfectly. It's not about doing more work. It's about giving your body and mind a different kind of work. Something that recharges you instead of drains you. And man, that hit. I built a new recharge routine. Here's what it looked like. 1. Movement that feels good, not workout movement. I wasn't hitting the gym or doing crazy workouts. I started small, 10 minutes in the backyard, stretching, light movement, even throwing a ball around with my kids. No step goals, no fitness tracking, just moving to feel human again. And here's the kicker. That light movement did more to lift my mental fog than sitting on the couch ever did. Within 2 weeks, my afternoons weren't a zombie zone anymore. Mindful tasks, simple chores that reset my brain. Sounds weird, but I started doing dishes by hand. Not to be productive, but to be present. Focusing on the sound of the water, the rhythm of cleaning, letting my brain slow down without stopping completely. It became a meditative task, and those small 10-15-minute resets, they worked better than mindlessly scrolling my phone for an hour. 3. Micro wins to rebuild my confidence. Burnout doesn't just drain your energy, it eats away at your self-worth. So I created a habit of knocking out one small win each morning, wiping down my desk, organizing a drawer, anything that took less than 5 minutes. Starting the day with a win, even a tiny one. Tricked my brain into momentum mode. It stopped me from feeling like I was constantly behind results. They stacked up quietly but powerfully. It didn't feel life-changing at first, but after 4 weeks of doing these active recovery deposits, I realized I wasn't running on fumes by lunchtime. I wasn't dragging my feet through my evenings. And for the first time in months, I started looking forward to my days, not dreading them. Your turn, stop waiting. Start refueling. If you're stuck waiting for energy to come back on its own, it won't. You need to put energy back in, intentionally. Start with one small thing today. It could be a 10-minute walk, washing dishes mindfully, or knocking out a tiny win before your day gets away from you. Try it for 1 week. Then come back and tell me how you feel. Drop a comment and share your small energy deposit win. And if you're still in the thick of burnout like I was, type yes. So I know you're out there, figuring this out too. After weeks of learning to slow down, setting boundaries, and making small energy deposits, I thought I was making real progress. But there was one thing I couldn't outrun: my relationship with food. Burnout doesn't just drain your energy. It hijacks you. It rewires how you eat, what you crave, and whether you even realize you're hungry. Some nights, I'd destroy a family-sized bag of chips in front of the TV. Not because I was hungry, but because it was easier to chew than to sit alone with my thoughts. Other days, work would swallow me whole. I'd look up, and it was 4 p.m. No lunch, no breakfast, just me, running on caffeine and adrenaline. By the time I finally grabbed something to eat, it was always the easiest option. Fast food, vending machine junk, whatever required zero thought. Not because I wanted it, but because burnout had drained me so dry, I didn't have the energy left to care. That's burnout's cruelest trick. 1 minute, you're binging to fill an emotional hole. Next, You're skipping meals because you're drowning in works. Either way, you lose. I was trapped in that crash crave crash cycle. Feel terrible. Eat worse. Repeat. The 5-second pause that changed everything. One night, around 9 p.m., I caught myself standing in front of the fridge, hand reaching for a cold slice of leftover pizza. But for some reason, I paused, and I asked myself, wait, am I actually hungry? Or am I just trying to shut my brain off? That 5-second pause hit like a gut punch. I realized I wasn't feeding my body. I was feeding my burnout. But here's the thing. I knew I wasn't going to fix years of bad habits overnight. I wasn't about to turn into some meal prep fitness guru. I needed a strategy that didn't rely on willpower. Because let's be real, when you're burned out, willpower is a joke. The no-brainer food strategy that worked. The next morning, I made myself one promise. Stop overthinking. Make the right choice. The easy choice. I loaded up the fridge with Greek yogurt with a drizzle of honey, pre-cut fruit pineapple, strawberries, melon, hummus with baby carrots and cucumbers, a batch of hard-boiled eggs, overnight oats with chia seeds and almond milk, no cooking marathons, no calorie-counting stress, just grab-and-go options that made it hard for burnout to win. I also set one hard rule. When my 9 p.m. shutdown alarm rang, the kitchen was closed. No more mindless snacking in front of the TV. If I thought I was hungry, I'd drink a glass of water and ask, is this real hunger or just stress talking? The shift happened faster than I expected. Within 1 week, I wasn't nosediving into sugar crashes every afternoon. The binge crash binge loop that ruled my nights. It started fading. Mornings felt lighter. No more food hangovers. But the real win, food stopped being a battle. It wasn't a reward for surviving a crappy day. It wasn't a punishment for not hustling harder. It became what it should have been all along. Fuel. Fuel to show up. Fuel to stay present. Fuel to actually live. But there was one more disconnect I had to face. Fixing my sleep and food was huge, but I started noticing something else. Burnout hadn't just disconnected me from my hunger. It had disconnected me from people. I'd be in the same room with my family, but my brain still spinning on tomorrow's to-do list. Physically there, mentally checked out. That realization hit hard, because what's the point of having energy if you're not spending it on what matters? I didn't need grand family outings or quality time plans. What I needed was to show up in small, real moments. Sitting down for dinner and actually tasting my food. Saying yes when my son asked me to build Legos. Without half listening while scrolling emails. Burnout had me convinced I didn't have time for those things. But the truth, those little moments weren't extra. They were the very things that brought me back to life. Your turn feed your body. Starve your burnout. If you've been stuck in the binge skip binge loop like I was, start simple. Don't aim for perfect meals. Just make the better choice the easier choice. And when that 9 p.m. alarm rings, respect it. Close the kitchen. Give your body the reset it deserves. Try it for 1 week. Come back and drop a comment. Did you feel a difference in your energy, your focus, even your connection with people? And if you're still stuck in that burnout eating loop, type yes in the comments so we know we're not alone. This isn't about fixing everything overnight. It's about taking small wins, one choice at a time. Human again. Fixing my sleep helped. Getting my eating in check was a big win too. But even after all that, there was still this emptiness. It's funny, burnout doesn't just exhaust you. It isolates you, little by little. You stop picking up calls. Stop texting back. Not because you don't care, but because you feel like you've got nothing left to give. That's the trap I fell into. Scrolling through social media, seeing friends out living their lives, while I was sitting there, connected to everyone, but feeling completely invisible. One night, After my 9 p.m. shutdown alarm went off, it hit me. I couldn't remember the last time I had a real conversation with a friend. Not a work call, not a meeting, a real face-to-face chat. That realization stung. So, I did something small. I texted my buddy Jake. Hey man, coffee this Sunday. No agenda. Just catch up. The coffee that didn't fix my burnout, but fixed something deeper. I won't lie, the morning of that coffee, I almost canceled. I told myself I was too tired, didn't have the energy for small talk, but I went anyway. The first 15 minutes, awkward as hell. I was so used to talking about work, I forgot how to just hang out. But then, it happened. We started joking about dumb stuff we did in college, and for the first time in months, I actually laughed. Not a polite chuckle, a real, from the gut laugh. That 1 hour did more for me than an entire weekend of me time. Because in that moment, I wasn't Michael, the provider. I wasn't Michael, the guy who handles everything. I was just me, a friend, a human being. From coffee to connection, and why it mattered more than I knew. That simple coffee hangout became our thing. Every Sunday, no phones on the table, no work talk, just coffee and conversation. A few weeks in, we pulled in a couple more guys. One of them said, "Men, we should actually move around. Get off our asses." That's how our Wednesday night soccer game started. No league, no keeping score. Just a bunch of overworked guys kicking a ball, talking trash, and for an hour, feeling alive. It wasn't about coffee. It wasn't even about soccer. It was about having a space where I didn't have to perform. I didn't need to be useful or productive. I just had to show up, and that was enough. The shift was subtle but powerful. The more I showed up for these simple hangouts, the less heavy everything else felt. I wasn't dragging emotional baggage into bedtime. I wasn't snapping at my kids for no reason. I had something to look forward to. Not a big vacation. Not a life-changing event. Just a simple cup of coffee next week. And somehow, that made all the difference. Your turn reconnects. One cup at a time. If you're stuck in that loop where burnout has you too drained to connect, start small. Text one person. Invite them for coffee. No expectations. No deep talk required. Just show up. You'll be surprised how healing it feels. When someone sees you, not for what you do, but for who you are. So here's my challenge. Reach out to one person this week. Have that cup of coffee. Then come back here and tell me how it felt. If you're feeling isolated like I was, drop a yes in the comments. If you've already taken that step, share your story. Let's build a community where no one feels invisible. Burnout doesn't always look like breaking down. Sometimes, it just looks like numbing out. You know what I've realized? Burnout doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it whispers. It shows up as the 6th cup of coffee, the fake smile on a Zoom call, the "I'm fine" when you haven't felt fine in months. It doesn't look like a crash. It looks like a slow fade into someone you barely recognize. But here's the truth. No one puts on a bumper sticker. You don't have to burn your life to the ground to feel alive again. You just need to stop running on empty and start refueling like your life depends on it. Because it kinda does. These 5 steps I shared, they're not magic. They won't turn you into a Zen monk or fix your problems overnight. But they will give you something back. Your breath, your time, your presence, yourself. And the wildest part, the world won't fall apart when you start taking care of yourself. It might just start making sense again. So here's my challenge to you. If anything I said today hits home, if you're tired, disconnected, or just feel like you've been surviving instead of living, try just one of these 5 steps this week. Not to fix yourself, you're not broken, but to come back to yourself. Then drop into the comments. What's one thing that's been weighing on you lately? Say it out loud. Let's give it a name. Give it a time slot. And stop letting it own the whole day. And hey, if this helped you breathe a little easier today, support this channel the real way. Leave a comment. Share it with someone who needs it. Stick around. We're building something real here. Because mental health isn't a luxury, it's oxygen.